This is Rita of the Genesis Home Podcast, where we talk to professionals in real estate, business, and beyond. Today, we're talking to Brian Fife of California and discussing his business, Easy Alfred, powered by local links. We are focusing on today the importance of local business, real estate, and partnerships. This is exciting. Let's get started. Alfred and local links, they're kind of like one and the same. So,
Easy
how you
Alfred
doing, Brian?
powered by local links. I'm good.
The Easy Alfred powered by local
Yes.
links. So, why don't you talk to us about that? Tell us about yourself and your business.
Awesome. Well, thank you. As Rita mentioned, my name is Brian Fife. I'm with Easy Alfred, powered by local links. They're one company and two brands, all in one business to consumer-based lead generation service. Essentially, we are trying to take a new spin on the local business lead generation. The current systems out there, many of which are delivery services or are simply lead generation connection points like Yelp or Google My Business. And in my opinion, those are very consumer to business and not necessarily business to consumer. And so with Easy Alfred, powered by local links, we work within a business first model. Essentially, we believe the business has an ideal customer, and our goal is to find that customer for them, but we want them to make the decision that this is a good customer for them versus the current services right now who simply shovel leads to businesses, leaving it up to them to determine if that is an ideal customer. And oftentimes with a lot of the more web-based search functionalities such as Yelp or Google My Business, it's based on SEO, which if any of you out there right now are not familiar with the process of SEO, it requires something of a local business that is, to be frank, a little above and beyond what most local businesses have the time, energy, or employees to manage. And so it's a difficult road that the small businesses live in, but I'm sure we'll get to more of that later. And let me, I guess, in a long way say, Rita, we're a B2B2C lead generation service specifically focused on elevating the local business.
Awesome. So one of the things you did mention, though, is that you mentioned local businesses, but you do also have a real estate component to that as well, correct?
Yes. So we saw the market as there was a big gap in the travel sector. Now, I know that it may seem silly right now living in a COVID world, but ironically enough, the type of business that we're in with regards to travel is we actually are seeking to be a vacation rental concierge service, essentially connecting those staying at vacation rental houses in any area. Right now, we're starting in the South Bay of Los Angeles, but I believe that there is a big vacuum of connection points for people staying in vacation rentals. And that's actually the kind of the seed of our business started when my wife and co-founder started this business idea as we were celebrating our anniversary at a tiny house out in the desert out here in Riverside County. And we were the tiny house had a hot tub, which was really nice, looked out on all these beautiful mountains. But I myself at the time had been struggling with a little bit of lower back pain. And I kept thinking, man, this hot tub is nice, but it'd be great to get a massage right now as well. And I asked both my wife and I had this conversation of, where do we get that here? And it dawned on us that if we were staying at a hotel, we would have had a concierge directly connecting us to local-based businesses, or at least in the case of a hotel, to a spa downstairs. And it struck me that local businesses could be the backbone to this. And so that is where we decided to start connecting vacation rentals to local businesses and providing that as a revenue opportunity to the to the vacation rental owner by providing them a revenue share opportunity. When we create transactions at their house, they make money off of those transactions.
So one of the things that you and I often discussed is the comparison between, your service and Airbnb. So what makes you stand out a little bit differently than Airbnb? Well, because obviously that's a common connection.
Sure. And really what we are, Rita, is kind of a supplement to the vacation rental market. Vacation rental market, as it's currently known, is dominated by Airbnb, VRBO, and other listing services. Those services primarily focus on connecting you to the homeowner. Airbnb has obviously a few additional services, and there are some additional platforms that have outside ways of connecting to local businesses, but many of which of those are much like the Airbnb experience. They're simply coupon-based services, digital coupon connections like Groupon. And how we differentiate ourselves is that unlike, say, a Groupon where you're simply buying access to a class or buying access to a service, our model is to actually identify the service you want and then pair that with the top rated businesses in the area and essentially provide you a chance to skip the research. And instead of just hoping you may find a service that matches your needs, instead actually get paired with a service based on your needs and the availability of the service. Kind of going back to what I said earlier, our model is as a business led. And so we want to essentially identify what the business customer service is and then input that with the business or with the business service that the customer or guest is looking for. And then on top of that, we actually have real humans involved. Yeah, I know. It seems like a foreign concept these days that you'd have someone that you could actually speak to. But our model is actually to drive people not just with technology, but with an actual human concierge working in tandem with technology to essentially ensure that we have the best connections for our guests and, as I said, for our businesses by being a qualifier. And simply put, that's not always conceptually easy to do when you're dealing with local businesses, which are really good at one thing, but not always great at, as I said, SEO, websites, content, social media, all of these things that the tech industry is using to try and identify the ideal customer for these businesses, and it's a big missing hole. And with our real humans, not just AI or not just technology, but humans there to chat with you, it should, in all honesty, be more similar to what we've all grown accustomed to in the previous 20 years, not the last 20 years.
The one thing you did mention was the importance of local businesses. Mm-hmm. And I think we both know that I'm from a very big city, mm-hmm. i.e. New York. Yep. And one of the things we discussed before this interview or this conversation that we're having is that how it would be great for smaller towns and like the suburbs or places that people normally don't connect with or identify as a place to visit. Mm-hmm. Would be great for a model like this.
Yeah.
So why don't you explain that a little bit more? Because that sounds awesome.
So let me put this into context. So just like how you are from a large city, I am from a large area, but not necessarily a large city. And I think this is probably applicable to you too, because of New York's neighborhood feel. And we've even talked about that. But oftentimes in smaller markets, and even in markets that are kind of trouble distinguishing themselves from their larger area, as to further clarify, I live in Hermosa Beach, California, which is a beach town in the Los Angeles County area, where more often than not, people probably first search for LA. And whereas Hermosa is its own independent town within Los Angeles County, and you could easily drive through us and not distinguish, other than like the street signs, that you're in a different area. And then to go back to your point, with even smaller areas, oftentimes you get lost in the shuffle of the internet, and you don't really get an opportunity to find out what's unique about those areas. So our goal is really to work within the confines of a town, and work to find out what the locals recommend, and work to find out what it is that makes that town appealing. And in essence, our big goal is to allow even a small town to feel like a resort, in that you can have a direct access to the things, the hidden menus, the places that you wouldn't necessarily know off the top of your head, nor would they always come up top of the search unless you specifically happen to come upon something that they were SEO'd for, which is sometimes slim. But in essence, all of those kind of smaller towns have unique and beautiful things about them that the locals know, and us as travelers don't always get the access to, because you don't have that inside guide that can connect you at a higher level.
And I think that's an amazing thing, and I think that's what stood out for me about your business, in the sense that, once again, you're right. I come from a huge city. I'm not New York. There's nothing small about New York.
Mm-hmm.
So when people talk, say, when people are interested, is there anything beyond New York? Of course there is. I mean, you got Albany County. You got, there's so many things that come with this state outside of New York. There's so many things that come with California outside of LA.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a great way to highlight, those smaller towns, or those smaller, cities that tend to get overlooked in the shuffle of these huge places.
Well, and then, Rita, I'm sure if you even looked in your own area, your neighborhood, right, has its own unique and beautifulneighbor that gets lost in the shuffle of major city ideas, and not just
that is true.
Not just the more neighborhood-like atmospheres.
A beautiful example of that would be, at least here in New York, is a place called Roosevelt Island. Roosevelt Island is actually a neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
It's connected to Manhattan.
Yeah.
But, you have to cross over. There's a ferry boat. There's a whole thing to it. But it has an amazing theater scene. It has great, food and culture. But it tends to get mixed in and roped in with our craziness. So I love this idea, especially when, a lot happened during 2020. So why don't we discuss that a little bit? I know people want to forget it, but it's something you can't really forget. You really have to discuss it, in the sense that it impacted a lot of things, and it probably changed a lot of perspective for you as well. So what was your business like during 2020?
Well, so as Rita knows, but is I guess I'll give the background on it. So we actually began building our web app and the service overall as of January 2020. I was previously working in, and am still power partnered with, a great company called Service Hoot, which, as I alluded to earlier, was working in local SEO. And my background is in marketing and operations. And so I had this idea for Easy Alfred, the concierge aspect of the business, in 2018. Wasn't the right time. It was, just an idea that came to me, and one I thought about and had been, banting about. In 2019, I came close to going in and starting it, but again, it just wasn't the right time. And so I came to a conclusion at the end of 2019 that it was now or never with this idea. So 2020, like I'm sure everybody had said in December of 2019, was going to be the year that I started this idea, that this idea was going to be it was gonna be my year, right? We had planned initially to launch a very soft launched version of the app in Coachella. Our first house was a friend of ours' house that they rented out in the previous year of Coachella for, I believe it was $1,600 a night, as is the case or was the case when Coachella was happening. And if I remember correctly, they were even potentially an artist that was actually staying. So we were very excited for that. And then, of course, March happens and just blows. Yeah.
Perfectly said.
Blown up. But the one thing that we thought, and this is the component where local links that we really haven't brought on. Local links has always been a form of this idea, and we weren't really sure what it was in its entirety, other than I knew that comparative to some of the services out there that exist, like Yelp and Google My Business and DoorDashes and Postmates and all of the different delivery systems and other local lead generation connection services out there, what they were doing right now, or then at the time, and even to this day, was not necessarily creating a business community. And so on the day that in California here, Gavin Newsom said we were shutting down and that local businesses were going to need to shut down and that they were not going to be having in-store service for many of them. And some of them were not even going to be able to have in-store service at all. You know, we had my wife and co-founder in the restaurant industry. So they were going to have to move entirely to delivery and pickup. And then, you know, your various other services that were simply not going to be able to do their business in a traditional model. I had this thought that came into my head that was that, man, local businesses are going to have to adapt to thrive. And I'm a whiteboarder and I keep a whiteboard in my house. And I literally wrote that phrase, adapt and thrive, on my whiteboard. And I sat there late for like about, 30-45 minutes. And I'm like, we need to have a networking event. And that was when Local Links truly it formed. Initially, we were looking at Local Links side of it all as an education basis for the local businesses. I always felt that there needed to be some sort of local business education resource that is not being served by many of the other lead generation services. And it was in that moment that we actually became a local business education and networking, mastermind networking service, essentially to supplement the business connections aspect of it. And so with Local Links, we started and we hosted, I lose the count, but somewhere around the 30 plus events. Thursday at 4:30. We actually just had our kickoff last Thursday, depending on when you're listening to this, on the 14th of January. But each week we host a mastermind style networking for business owners and operators and managers to come together with other business owners and experts in various fields like marketing and advertising and insurance, all of these other, necessary parts of running your business. You need to have a way to connect with people in similar situations. And so that's what we provide. Every Thursday at 4:30 to 6 p.m. Pacific time, we host a networking event where we have breakout rooms. We open up with a little bit of business education based on either marketing, or we have an expert come in to speak about their business and what they do for local business. And ultimately, the Local Link side of the equation really was what we did to adapt our business in 2020. And now in 2021, we are telling businesses my adapt story, hashtag my adapt story, hashtag Local Links, hashtag local business. These are the things that we want people to associate to the local businesses that come to our events. We want them to be able to tell their story and really be able to get the word out there of what they're doing differently, whether it was what they did differently in 2020 or what they're planning to do differently as we go through 2021.
And I remember your
I think
masterminds.
you went to
Actually, I
one of
think
the
I've been
early
to a
ones on,
couple.
and then I think maybe
And
mid-year too.
exactly. And they are really awesome, especially for someone who is either more experienced in real estate. Like if you're a real estate agent that's been doing this for a few years, it's a great way to be more of the advisory role. And it's a great for new agents who kind of got started in the middle of the crazy. That's
Yeah.
my safety sentence. And you want to build that network and that connections and those relationships. And I have actually, you said something that was really interesting. You said my adapt story, and you do adapt to thrive. So, with that being said, 2021, you've learned so much in 2020. How are you applying those lessons in 2021?
Good question. So, some of which I learned during 2020 was just planning. I'm a big planner, but I'm one of those planners that I plan a lot, and I have the tendency to overplan. In my head, I look forward to having 20, 30 people on my staff that can very much segment. I'm a firm believer that people have expertise, and so I want to be able to challenge my team to really dig deep in and use their expertise very, very specifically. But as I think is the case with most, even real estate agents, small businesses, local businesses of any sort, really, and probably even larger corporations, it's been a while since I've worked in them. We all have big plans, but not enough bodies to often execute those plans. And so versus 2020, where I had gone in with the intention of being fully funded, live up by middle of the summer, after having done our soft opening in what was it, April? Is that when Coachella usually is? I've lost track of time. I've taken to 2021 and tried to scale back some of my planning to just very, 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 very specific, low hanging fruit, and keep some of my more stretch goals as just that, a stretch goal. That if they are feasible, great, but the kind of incumbency of life is based on what is available to me now, not necessarily every big dream that I have. And so I'm keeping my big dreams not necessarily off the shelf. I'm just kind of making sure that they know that there's some minimum viable things that I can do versus the 2020 had kind of taught you that, or at least taught me that it's okay to have big dreams, but try to consider what is the reality of life today and make big things out of that.
Very well said, and I like the fact that you separated the specific goals from the stretch goals. So there's something more tangible that you can achieve, and then if those things are going well, and there's something that may be happening, but you're not going to really force it. So it really changed your definition.
It very much did, because I'll tell you, Rita, I want to do everything. I really do. I've always been that person that wants to try to accomplish every single idea in my head. And I'm ADHD and OCD. And so it's like, I can't stop thinking. I'm a night person who spends probably at least an hour of my night just unable to stop my brain from thinking of new ideas. And oftentimes I have to just write those down and say, we'll come back to you later.
Well, I think that's important to know because, everyone had these huge dreams and goals in 2020. And I think for us, especially as entrepreneurs, as you mentioned, certain things just don't happen. And I think that we restructured how our definition of goals and dreams look like. So thank you so much for saying that. Now, okay. I have an honest question for you. I want to know, how can real estate, because you did mention about the short-term, listings and the rentals and what, how how that helps with local businesses in that connection. But what can real
Sure.
estate do for you in forms of like the agents? What is that?
Sure.
How does that
So let me give you
with
my
us?
short term and my long term goal with when it comes to the real estate agent. And I'll start high level with this. I believe, and I think you can attest to this, Rita, that I believe that the real estate agent is oftentimes the best pulse of the economy and the pulse of the community, in the sense of, if you really want to know something, ask an agent is a very accurate statement. Because if you've ever gone on a walkthrough with an agent, they know every bar, restaurant, every local business in the area. And half the time they mention the owner. Oh, I know so-and-so around the corner who owns this place. Just mention my name, right? It's every agent. And it's a part of the, not, I don't want to say it's a part of the position. I think it's a part of the personality that is driven towards being a real estate agent. That they are just the person that you go to connect to the community, because they are their community. They love every building, every historical, every story that has, that there is in the community. They know them so that they can be that resource to their customer, their client, and have that knowledge that puts them above and beyond. They want, that's part of being the best real estate agent in the area. And so with Local Links and Easy Alfred, our goal is actually, on the short term, to provide a revenue channel to all the property managers that we work with. And right now, two are out of our 50 houses that we're launching in here in the South Bay. Both are run by real estate agents as property managers, which, as I got into this deeper and deeper, is pretty common. Just because if you're owning a property and you're trying to vacation rental that it could be its own job in its own right, if you just aren't certain what you're doing. And I can say this from one of our advisors who also has their own house, and they said that it was a full-time job for them to split between the two of them to be able to manage their property when they first started Airbnb or vacation rentaling their home. And it's because you want to provide an experience for your guests so that they come back. And when you partner with real estate agents, they generally have that structure that can make things a little bit simpler. And so I see so many agents out there working as property managers on vacation rentals. So in that short term, we can be a new form of revenue opportunity for them today. But in the long term, I actually am planning, and the goal is to actually have a real estate agent in every major community that we work in, whether it be New York, Atlanta, Chicago, or rural towns that are like Montana. One of the areas that we want to have is in the Missoula, Montana area. It's a beautiful area. And my goal is to have a real estate agent as an official local rep for our Alfreds, who in our world, our Alfreds ultimately will be trained on the areas in which they are servicing, and the knowledge they're going to be gaining is through those local reps that we will be hiring as essentially part-time agents of Easy Alfred and Local Links, to both connect us to the houses, the vacation rentals, but also to give us a direct connection to the community businesses that are, who we should go to, who the locals love. And so the agent, in my opinion, plays a massive role in the success of the U.S. economy, and directly with our hope to build a better local business economy. I do. It's true, though. That every agent that that's a good agent out there is also the one that has every knows the manager at every bar and restaurant, who knows the businesses of the community inside and out. It really is. Every agent that talks about the community first is later on the agent I hear about who's got, who's closing a deal every week to 2 weeks to month. Those generally go hand in hand.
And I think part of the reason why that is because agents are the ambassadors or the representatives of their what real estate cards market center I call community and town, but you are absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
I love that idea. The reason I wanted to discuss that is because, one, I think in real estate we've learned so much about the importance of small businesses and how we have to find a way to best, not I want to say protect, but more nurture that. And I feel like your business can help us with that in a way. Also, you mentioned a lot about traveling. You did mention that, you first got the idea while on a trip. You discussed, these different small towns when people are visiting. What would be your, goal for people who are visiting these places? What do you see them experiencing?
Can you repeat that just a little bit? I apologize. Just say that one more time.
So every time someone visits a place or is interested in moving to a place, they are looking for a certain experience. So what experience are you trying to paint for or try to introduce to these people who are, staying at these local, places or staying at these, short-term rentals and things like that?
I think that there is I think each community brings its own uniqueness. And so I feel that it's a key necessity to really build the essence of each community. When we're building the services that we have on our platform, we're not necessarily, unlike a Yelp or Google My Business, we're not seeking to have every single business on there. It's just not, it's not going to be the go-to, for every single business. We're going to be the go-to for what's beautiful in that area. And if, in essence, the experience that we're looking to determine is really about what's special in the area. So if you're in a beach community, it's about finding the beach-related activities that are amazing and beautiful, and the businesses that are supplementing that. If you're in a mountain community or a ski community, it's about finding the services that are supplementing that for the people visiting the area. It's about building the local economy within what it is, and not just what people may think it is. We want someone to come to the area and truly get that local guide in their Alfred, the one that can say, hey, our local reps love this business for this reason, and our local businesses love these businesses. Our goal is actually to take recommendations from the businesses that are within our mastermind, that are within our power partnerships, and that are within our the communities that we're working as we grow and as we build the story about who is the community. And so it's about not necessarily creating an experience, but more imbuing in the community, or now let me say that differently. Building what the community already has up and showcasing that for the guest.
So you're basically focusing more on natural beauty of that.
Yeah, the organic. I talked about this earlier with regards to SEO, and the thing about SEO is that it's supposed to be an organic thing, right? It's supposed to be about being organic. Ironically, it's a lot of work to be organic in SEO, right? It's a lot of things that are very
yes, it is.
much not organic to be found organically. And so I think where we can actually help to be a connector is by better understanding our power partners, finding out who it is their ideal customer is, and then ultimately pairing those guests off to the experience that they're looking for. Not necessarily worrying about creating the experience, but organically letting the experience of the community be attached to the guest. For example, let me put this into context. I myself am a huge dive bar fan. I like the bar to just have, a wood bar and the rough and tumble bartender who tells you what you want, not what you need. Or maybe it's the other one. They tell you what you need, not what you want.
Yeah.
Either way, the person that is that community idea of being in a dive bar versus being at a luxury bar. Now, the thing about it is, if you're coming to a community and you're looking for a luxury experience and they don't have the luxury experience, you probably came to the wrong environment, and you're not going to get out of it what you were hoping for. But that said, there are usually businesses that can apply towards almost any of us with our kind of needs and wants. And it's about comparing and contrasting who the customer is to who the business is serving. And that's how we create the experience that we're hoping to for each and every single one of our guests.
That is really awesome. And I actually do like the occasional dive bar, mostly for the food. The food, as weird as it sounds, I'm not a big drink person.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason, dive bar food, I'm crazy. Like the chicken wings. Sometimes if you go to a really good dive bar, a lot of them are made in-house. So, like, there's actually a dive bar here in Manhattan called the Dive Bar. And they make amazing chicken wings, hand-cut potato chips, and they have their own, version of, like, I don't know if anyone still drinks this, but the Shirley Temple. They have what is called the Citrus Temple, which is lemon-based. So, I mean, you can tell what's going on in that neighborhood by how cool the dive bar.
What's funny is the dive bar that I mentioned, one of my favorites in here, I'll give it a shout out, Barnacle's Bar and Grill. One of my favorites, been around since 2006. And they have the best bar food in not just this area, but all over the place. And it's such people who don't know and end up coming by and have, you get these comments on your Yelps and stuff like that it's just like, wow, never would have guessed they had such a kitchen. And they have pho, right? They have pho that is like to die for. And you're like, wait, this is coming out of this dive bar that's just this, the environment is not what you expect for the food that you get. And it's truly still dive bar food, your burgers, your chicken wings, but then all of a sudden out of nowhere, they've got pho. And it's all about knowing those things and getting into the community, and being able to, I want people to be able to say, Alfred, I'm looking for a dive bar, and instead of the search result, kind of clarifying what kind of dive bar they want, because a dive bar on one side of town versus the dive bar on the other side of town, you're going to have a completely different environment. And that's just using my town example. And Hermosa is only a 1.3 square mile town. We literally do have one bar on each end, north and south end of the town, and they're vastly different dive bars. But depending on who you are, I would recommend one or the other. And our goal is to really identify that ideal customer profile for each of the businesses that we're working with, and then be able to connect them to those right bars without them having to do the search or research that they might have done, and still not come up with the right answer.
And I And I love that idea because it simplifies everything, but it introduces what normally is hidden. That's the one thing I do love about, your business and, Easy Alfred powered by local links and the whole thing is that people are so natural to go for the thing that looks popular that they don't realize that maybe that thing that maybe that restaurant or that bar may not be the prettiest, but it brings a lot of culture. And if you're coming to these places, like I mentioned, Albany has this amazing diner that serves, which is a New York State staple, called the Garbage Bowl. It's eggs, potatoes, whatever you want on it. It's a hot mess. It doesn't look pretty, but it tastes delicious. But you would never know that because there's like this really fancy restaurant right next to it that serves French-inspired something cuisine. Okay, so you get like the poached egg and all this other stuff. But, the Garbage Bowl is a New York State classic. So I love that, balance. Even the chicken wing is actually
Buffalo,
a New York State thing. A lot of people don't know that. The buffalo wing. Exactly. So I love this. And I love how you incorporate it. And one of the things I said, I think, because you and I've had this conversation quite a few times, that you partnered up with the agents. You didn't overlook us. You used what our experiences in these marketplaces and being a resident of these places as an asset to both, but you are also contributing to our businesses as well. So it's that respect that will always be there. And you said yourself, you're growing, not helping just the local economy, but you're also growing this nice business community. Then let's just say, for argument's sake, the owner of the dive bar here in New York goes all the way to your town, and he checks out your dive bar. There's that relationship. I don't want him getting the chicken wing recipe, but there's that relationship. That one's mine. But and they're so good. So, but I do have an honest question, and we went through so much. We talked about real estate. We talked about the importance of local community. Talked about events. We talked about so much, and there's one big question I have in this entire conversation, and I'm glad I saved it towards the end. What advice would you give someone who is really trying to navigate the process of the idea to jumping into the deep end and going for it? And you and I have both seen it, that people have all these amazing ideas, but they don't go for it. And then hearing you talk about it, you hear the commitment, you hear the relationship with you to your business. Sometimes people start businesses just for the money, but you don't hear that relationship. How do people go from, I would love to run a bike shop one day to, now I own a fleet of Harley Davidsons. I got a dream.
I have been entrepreneurial, I guess be the best way. I've had an entrepreneurial spirit since I was very, very little. I remember actually, I played office as a kid. I don't know if that's a normal thing. I would set up. Okay. So I think between you and I, we can say that it's normal. I don't know if everybody out there played office. I know a lot of my friends would not join me because it was, it was like, what are you doing? I'm playing office, dude. I've got papers here. I've got to get to these papers before the end of the day. And they'd be like, those are just papers. I know, but then you crinkle them. But I think that's not, that's not to say that's the requirement. I think the idea of being a business owner is one that we all have. It's being your own boss is not an easy pursuit. It has a lot of demands. You don't have anyone there to tell you, oh, you've got to get this done. No, you're the one telling yourself you got to get this done. And it comes with being organized. I am historically an organized pile maker. And even that is not necessarily helpful because you still have to go back through those piles. And so I go about setting myself with tasks that are attainable during those days. I have a lot of self checks throughout the day. It's very easy to get lost in the minutia of life in every bit. It's even easier to do it when you're creating your own business, and especially if you're creating a business that didn't exist in some way, shape, or form before you started it. If you're truly founding a unique business model. And my advice to everybody and my advice to myself every day is to evaluate what's important to you today and then do it. And don't let anything else stop you from doing it.
Nice.
Because if you don't do it, you won't achieve what you're looking to achieve. And that's a harsh reality, but that's also the reality of being entrepreneurial.
I still think my favorite part is the fact that you said that you have a whiteboard. And I also have something similar to that, so I don't feel as weird. But my favorite part of this whole conversation is when you said adapt to thrive. And I think that is something we really need to remember, especially if we're, in business, because things change sometimes at the drop of a hat. So, this is awesome. Thank you so much, Brian, for coming. You've been amazing. And really, this has been really cool. I've been excited for this interview for quite a while.
Well, thank you. I've been excited for this one too. I appreciate it. Our conversations have been really, really enlightening and fun. And you're such a great wealth of information, Rita. I really do appreciate that.
No problem. And the interesting part and the reason why I wanted to get to this point here.
Yes, we're forming a great little power partnership with yours, because we're all about power partnership.
Right. So I wanted people to know about you and get a good idea, because I want people to know that, when I start bringing out the masterminds and showing all the links and everything, that this is the person behind that. This is the voice behind it. And you know how I feel about humans. It takes, I want people to know that there was someone behind it that really gave this thought and really was passionate about it.
Well, thank you. And if you are a real estate agent, a local business out there, if you own a vacation rental house, you are in a local business. No matter what it's said out there, we are. It's my belief that right now, and this is not a political statement in any way, shape, or form. Right now, the humans of this world are facing a struggle to build our own economy. The John and Jan Q public, those that don't have immeasurable power, we have more power than I think we're given credit for. And that credit is that if we build our local economy and we come together as humans to elevate each other, we will build a truly immovable force, and it comes with us elevating all forms of economy, all individualistic economies, even small group economies, and building up those. I read The Passion Economy by Adam Davison recently. I'm saying it here in every place that I get a chance. Adam Davison, I want to be on either a podcast of yours or you come on mine, because I'm intrigued by everything he says. And I just figure if the more I say it on the more different places, the more chance maybe it'll actually happen, right? But I believe that there is an economy being formed right now of actual human growth potential, and not just some 1%. And that 99%, that middle class, can come back by elevating each other through things like what we're doing today with talking with you, Rita.
Thank you. This was really awesome. And I'm glad that we can we can actually bring forth, one, our partnership, but two, also, showcasing your business, which was very important
and
to
so
me. And I know it's important to you.
Go ahead.
So this is literally the
Exactly.
example.
And then just to let you know, if you own a house, go to easyalfred.com and find become a partner. You can add your house to our listing, and as soon as we enter enough houses in a certain area, the plan is to begin expanding into multiple areas throughout the United States. Essentially, once we get about 50 houses in an area, that's enough for us to launch. If you own a local business in your area and you are serving a vacation rental market, come and join us right now and become a partner as well. And as soon as we're able to, we will start sending leads your way. As long as you're a top-rated business in your area, the things that locals love, that's who we want to be working with. And if you're a real estate agent and you're working with the vacation rental crowd, come join us and be a power partner. And our goal is to provide you a tool in your toolbox and an additional revenue in your revenue streams. And you can reach us at easyalfred.com and locallinks.online.
All right. This is Rita with the Genesis Home Podcast. Thank you very much for Brian Fife to come out and talk to us about
Thank you, Rita. I appreciate
real
you.
estate and travel. All right. Bye, everybody.
Pretty good. I hope